Now, here in Nigeria, specifically in Abuja, the nation's federal capital territory, has until recently been an oasis of peace and tranquility in a desert of increasing insecurity thanks to the impressive efforts of the country's security agencies. Barring an isolated incident in 2011 when Boko Haram launched a deadly attack against the United Nations building in Abuja, killing 21 people and injuring 60 others, incidents of terror attacks on the FCT have been fewer and far between, generally low-key, and of greatly reduced capacity to threaten public safety and security. Incidentally, it's all beginning to spike again with recent reports of non-state actors boldly communicating their intention to resume asymmetrical attacks on soft targets and even institutions of state. We're now joined by security expert and public affairs analyst Dr. Stephen Okwori to discuss concerns about the worsening security situation in the FCT and what more needs to be done to safeguard lives and property. Good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us here on Newsday.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Now, in terms of this recent spike that we're witnessing of these security situations in the FCT, why do you think that there's an increase? And in the same breath, what's emboldened these non-state actors to make such statements, saying that they're going to target, soft targets and the likes?
Okay, yeah. Let me start by saying that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 14(2)(b), talks about the primary responsibility of government, which is security and welfare. Now, the responsibility of our political leaders is not just within the powers of the president alone. It also has to do with the powers of the governors and also the local government. Now, with regards to the FCT, the minister of the FCT is also his responsibility to see that the seat of capital is also protected against all these non-state actors. The FCT is the seat of power. It houses the president, the vice president, the senate president, and the speaker on the House of Representatives. Also, the headquarters of the military, Army, Air Force, Navy, the DSS, the headquarters of the National Police, they are all resided in the FCT. So that's to tell you that we don't expect the rate of crime or the spike of crime in the FCT, looking at all that is situated within the FCT. Now, don't forget that people are moving from their rural communities down to the FCT. I'm talking about rural-urban migration now. The insecurity issues in the northern part of Nigeria, the northeast, northwest, and some other states bordering FCT also are moving into the FCT because they believe and think that the FCT is a place that should be secured and free of crime. Now, when these people come in here, they come unprepared, right? And when they cannot afford the basic needs of survival, we're talking about food, shelter, clothing. What do you expect? They go into crime. Now, if you recall, I think on your program here, I saw a former Air Commodore that owns a garden, right, where he makes a living from it. We saw where the Department of Development Control went and demolished his park and garden. And we have some other gardens as well where they have also demolished. The owners of this garden have some Nigerians that are also working in these gardens. They make a living out of it, right? So demolishing the gardens and making or having these young able youths that are working, earnestly to see how to make a living, now end up not having anything to do. You see, when you try to see how to address the insecurity issues within the FCT, if you don't do it properly, you are also going to complicate issues, right? Because if these able youths that are out there don't have source of living, they don't have source of income, of course, they will look the other way. I'm not expecting a utopian society or a perfect society where everything should be orderly. All right, we must definitely have deviants, that would think or look the other way to survive. An idle mind is a devil's workshop, right? So since they were engaged somewhere and you have come to disengage them, courtesy of your policy or whatever, at the end of the day, they will make us, those of us that are lawful citizens, not to sleep with our two eyes closed, right? Fortunately, the FCT minister has security, he has convoy, he has police that is protecting him, and other government top functionaries that have security. What about the ordinary citizens that don't have security, right? So what will happen to them? In the last 24 months or so, from January last year, 2024, to this date, as I'm talking to you, about 179 FCT residents have been kidnapped, right? And almost 270 million paid as ransom. So the crime that we experience in the FCT are robbery, one chance, kidnapping, and car theft. Almost on a daily basis, cars are stolen in the FCT, right? So there's a lot that the FCT minister needs to do, right? It's not about construction of roads alone. Yes, I will commend him for construction roads, but FCT residents need to be alive to drive on these roads.
Dr. Okwori, very interesting points you just mentioned there. But I'd like us to focus on the issue of prevention, crime prevention. We always talk about, the scenarios like we're always like playing catch up when it comes to crime, not only in Abuja, but in several parts of this country. After it happens is when this crime is being reported, and we try to, do some last minute arrangement as it is to prevent it. But let's talk about prevention itself. Where do you think technology can come in here? Do we even have a situation room in Abuja where you can, use CCTV cameras to home in on perceived crimes that are about to happen in the first place? What are your thoughts on that?
Unfortunately, the mandate or the responsibility of the police is prevention and detection of crime. We have the commissioner of police within the FCT. It is within his powers to see that crime don't happen or to see how to prevent crime. We have the military, right? The commander of the military base in Abuja. We have the civil defense commander in the FCT. And the other security agencies that we have within the FCT, that the FCT minister is expected to usually have periodic meetings with them, to have security briefings and all that, to see the successes they have achieved and their failures, and where to see how to cover up all the gap. Now, unfortunately, we don't invest in technology. Let me tell you, of all the one-chance criminal activities in the FCT, it is the residents of the FCT that have apprehended or arrested the one-chance perpetrators. It is when they arrest them, they begin to carry out jungle justice on them. That is when the police will come. So in terms of crime prevention, we are far, far, far behind, right? So there is need for us to invest in technology. When you look at the CBN junction, Area 1, Berger junction, Nikon junction, and all that, these are areas where one chance carry out their activities, because they have some strategic points where they carry out these acts of criminality. They will disguise in their vehicle, pretending to be real passengers in the vehicle. But meanwhile, they are one chance. Like my firm, we usually carry out what do you call them? Search when usually people are kidnapped or in one chance situation, right? In the last 2 weeks, we were able to identify some persons that were involved in one chance. How can you use a POS machine to transfer money from a victim's account to another account, and it's not traceable?
Absolutely.
Right? So there's a lot that we need to do. We are far behind when it has to do with modern technology, right?
Absolutely. I certainly concur.
If they have...
But for now, we have to leave this discussion at this point. But we'd love to have you again here on Newsday. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Steve Okwori, security expert and public affairs analyst. We appreciate your time.